Welcome into College Football Now. I am Tom Downey. The breaking news around the college football world today, Scott Frost fired by the Nebraska Cornhuskers, a move that simply had to happen. I think most people, including myself, thought Scott Frost was the right man at the right time for Nebraska, and he was going to get them back on track. It did not come close to happening in the end. He's fired on Sunday today following a terrible loss to Georgia Southern, who are coached by Clay Helton, by the way. They lost week 0, I should say, against Northwestern, a game they should have won and didn't. Had some troubles against North Dakota, and there was nothing from what we've seen through 3 games to suggest that it was going to be any better this year in Nebraska. 3-9, 3-5, 5-7, 4-8, never won more than 3 games in a single season in conference play in the Big Ten. 16-31 is not good enough at Nebraska or really anywhere, quite frankly. It is worth noting that the buyout for Scott Frost was going to drop from $15 million to half that, $7.5 on October 1st, and Nebraska didn't care. I'm sure the boosters and the alumni were fed up with it, and they fire Scott Frost anyway here on Sunday. Now leading to the big question, who's the next head coach at Nebraska? A once storied program that has simply put fallen on very hard times. The Mike Riley, Bill Callahan eras have not gone well at all, and the Scott Frost one was just as bad. They didn't even make a bowl game under him. So our first question before we break down some of the top candidates, how good is the Nebraska job actually? From 1 to 100, 100 being it's your Alabamas, it's your Ohio States, etc. 1 being it's a terrible program like Georgia Southern, for example. Grade it for me from 1 to 100 in the comment section. We'll take a look now at 10 different replacements. Well, it's 11. I cheated, but it's fine. It's my show. We're going to go from 10 to 1, the top candidates right now, and there is a lot of college football to be played. I'm sure things will change. I'm curious how Nebraska handles this. At number 10, mostly kidding, but kind of not, is Bo Pelini. Remember, Bo Pelini got fired because 9 wins wasn't good enough for Nebraska. And in his last 3 years combined, Scott, not including this year, but the last 3 full years, I guess, Scott Frost won a grand total of 11 games. So Bo Pelini's out of football right now. He got fired last year as the LSU DC. He's not going to come back. But, yeah, it's actually not the worst idea since it kind of worked last time, relatively speaking, although the AD and Pelini never got along. So at number 9, we'll cheat here, and we'll pick 2 different names. Chris Kleiman from Kansas State and Lance Leipold, the Kansas head coach. I don't know if Lance is ready for that type of jump, but he's done great things so far at Kansas, relative to expectations for Kansas not being a good football program. I actually like Chris Kleiman a lot. I am unconvinced he would leave that job at KSU right now. So we'll group the Kansas coaches together there with Pelini kind of serious, but also like, that's funny, at number 10. All right, number 8, Jim Leonard, the DC from Wisconsin. I think it's a matter of time before he gets a shot at the college level as a head coach. I think he's a fantastic defensive mind. And in general, it's a little bit more true for NFL than college, but oftentimes you go from one end to the other in terms of like your hires. And Jim Leonard, a DC at the Power 5 level, is very different than the offensive-minded former G5 head coach that Scott Frost was, which again, good hire, I thought, didn't work out. So I got some more names, but I do want to hear from you. Who do you think Nebraska should hire as their next head coach? Let me know in the comments section. Lots of routes you can go. It's the pinned comment on today's show. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Number 7 on our list is Kalani Sitake, the head coach over at BYU. I think he's done a fantastic job with that program. Nebraska is clearly a step up over BYU. The one big issue you might run into here, he's an alum of BYU, or alumnus, I should say. So that might complicate things here. I think he'd be a fantastic hire if you could get him. We're kind of in the great hire if you could get him stage. Number 6 is Matt Campbell over at Iowa State. Make no mistake, Nebraska is better than Iowa State, even though they finally beat Iowa, who is just garbage on offense this year, catching strays. The Iowa fans, I'm sorry. Campbell was a brilliant coach, I believe. He's done a great job with a very lesser program across college football. He's also turned down other offers to leave. Is the Nebraska job the one that will make him leave? I'm not sold on that front. Now, today's show is made possible by BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code right there, chat125. When you put down at least $100, they're going to give you an extra 125% for free. So $100 down, boom, extra 125. That way, if you're like me, you put some bets on college football each week, right? I picked Tennessee. They won. I had a parlay blown up by Notre Dame. Pick Notre Dame money line. You lose to Marshall? What are you doing out there, Fighting Irish? Come on, guys. Although Charles Huff, great young coach too. You can also bet on the NCAA championship this year. Bama, Georgia, both plus 200. Your betting favorites. OSU, then a big gap. Clemson and that high-powered, almost unstoppable USC offense. Go bet on some college football and, of course, the NFL. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code chat125. Number 5, Dave Aranda, the head coach at Baylor. Again, falls into your similar categories of great hire if you can get them. Baylor's not – Jerry, you said Baylor's a better job? It's not. It's still Baylor. I think Nebraska's a better job than Baylor. I also don't think Aranda's going to jump at the first chance he could to go leave somewhere, but I think he fits Nebraska and what they could use. So, too, does Matt. Remember, college stuff is often heavily regionalized unless you're LSU and you hire Brian Kelly. So who's more likely to leave, Dave Aranda or Matt Campbell? Type in DA for Dave Aranda or MC for Matt Campbell. Sound off for me, please and thank you, in the comments section. Let's hit some offensive minds, and these are two names you'll see on a lot of different hot boards. We'll see if anyone gets hired. I think Todd Monken's a very good offensive mind. He's had head coaching experience, Southern Miss, NFL OC experience, now college OC. I think he's sharp. I think he maximizes the Georgia offense in a better way, acknowledging that their quarterbacks can sometimes be limited. I like Monken if you want to go the SEC coordinator hire, as so many teams end up doing. Now, if you want more college football videos all year long, hit that big red button and subscribe. As coaches get canned, we will do replacements list, and we hit quite a few times in terms of getting the right guy for the right team. Hit that big red button. Don't miss out on anything around college football. Number 3, Bill O'Brien, who he is going to draw interest because he's an NFL head coach background, did a great job at Penn State, now the Bama OC. And that job, if you're the Bama OC, you're going to get hired one day. I don't love what he's doing with the offense. I feel like you're not utilizing or covering up your offensive line strengths and weaknesses properly. But it's Bill O'Brien. There's the allure. Everyone knows who that is. I think he could be a strong candidate at Nebraska, although I'm not as high on as I think other people are. All right, let's talk 10s now. Will Nebraska win a Big Ten title in the next 10 years? They play in the Big Ten West. It's easier to get there. You also would have to beat, in theory, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. I think it's pretty tough. So will they do it? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section. All right, number 2, Jeff Traylor, the head coach over at UTSA. This might not be a household name. I think he's a very up-and-coming young coach. Charles Huff at Marshall, a great name too, but locally the regional tie is a little bit better here. I think Traylor's got a very bright future ahead of him as the UTSA head coach. Might be too big of a leap, but he's definitely a good name to keep an eye out for if you missed out on some of your bigger targets like a Dave Aranda, a Matt Campbell, etc. My number 1 candidate, though, is Matt Rhule, the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. And I have been on this train since before the year began. Matt Rhule to Nebraska is my theory, and I think it makes so much sense for all parties involved. I don't think Matt Rhule is going to make it this year as the Carolina Panthers head coach. I think he's going to get fired. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's the right fit in the NFL. But I've seen him do a fantastic job at the college level in a couple different spots. I think he is a way better college coach than what he is NFL head coach. So if in the event Matt Rhule gets fired and or says, deuces, I'm out of here, because I don't think he's going to have enough success for Carolina this year. I think going back to the college game is perfect. I think he is an ideal fit in Nebraska and in a maybe not the best talent pool this year for college head coaches and maybe not the top-end jobs available. I think Rhule-Nebraska marriage could make a lot of sense. All right, one more time, the top 10. Bo Pelini at 10, and if you want to toss them off, let's Chris Kleiman over at Kansas State, Lance Leipold over at Kansas, Jim Leonard, the Wisconsin DC, Kalani Sitake, the head coach over at BYU, Matt Campbell, Iowa State, Dave Aranda, Baylor, 2 borderline dream targets, I think, for Nebraska, Todd Monken and Bill O'Brien, the OC options of the high-powered SEC schools, Jeff Traylor, the under-the-radar, promising young head coach for UTSA, and my prediction, because it's on the books from 2 weeks ago, Matt Rhule, head coach, currently, for now, of the Carolina Panthers. That is it for our video. If you want more coverage on college football, make sure you guys are subscribed. Jeremy's going, Notre Dame hot board? Maybe. Can't lose to Marshall there, Marcus Freeman. Hit that big red button and subscribe. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv.